Hey, I want to share a quick story about how I went from seriously struggling in school to becoming one of the top students. And no, I wasn't born smart. I didn't have some photographic memory. I wasn't a genius. Honestly, I failed more times than I can count. I felt stuck, confused, even hopeless at times. There were moments where I thought, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But something changed. I turned things around. And today, I want to share exactly what I did, step by step. So if you're in the same boat right now, listen. You can turn it around too. I stopped pretending to understand. All right, the first big shift? I stopped pretending I understood everything. Before, I'd sit in class nodding like, yeah, I get it. But deep down, I was totally lost. And for some reason, I felt too embarrassed to ask questions, like I'd look dumb or something. But here's the truth. If you don't understand something and you don't ask, it's not going to magically fix itself. The confusion just piles up, like a snowball rolling downhill. So I started doing the opposite. I asked questions. I stayed after class. I Googled things. I watched YouTube videos. I stopped feeling bad about not knowing. And guess what? The more I asked, the more I actually learned, and the better I felt about myself. It gave me confidence, like, hey, I can actually do this. I got organized finally. I got my act together and got organized. Before that, my notes were a total mess. I'd be flipping through pages trying to find stuff, digging through random papers the night before a test, and constantly forgetting deadlines. Honestly, my brain felt just as cluttered as my desk. So I told myself, okay, no more chaos. I didn't turn into some super planner overnight, but I started making small changes that made a huge difference. First, I got a simple notebook and started writing down what I had to do each week and broke big tasks into smaller chunks. That one habit helped me stay focused and feel way less overwhelmed. Every time I crossed something off, I felt like I was actually making progress. Then I created a weekly study plan. Instead of guessing what to study, I'd map it out every Sunday. Something like Monday, science, Tuesday, math, Wednesday, history, and so on. That way, I didn't waste time each day wondering where to start. I just followed the plan. I also started organizing my notes better. I used folders or color-coded sections for each subject, even digital folders when I was working on my laptop. No more digging through piles just to find one worksheet. And I began keeping summaries of each chapter or topic, so when exams came around, I already had quick review sheets ready to go. Getting organized gave me mental clarity. Instead of constantly stressing out and reacting last minute, I finally felt more in control. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about building a system that made life easier and way less stressful. I changed how I studied. The third big shift? I changed how I studied, completely. Before, I'd just sit there for hours staring at my notes, highlighting stuff, rereading the same lines over and over, hoping it would somehow sink in. Spoiler alert, it didn't. It felt like I was studying, but I wasn't actually learning. And I realized it's not about how long you study, it's about how you study. So I started doing things differently. Instead of just reading, I started active recall. Basically, closing the book and trying to remember what I just learned. I'd quiz myself. I'd explain concepts out loud like I was teaching someone else. And let me tell you, teaching it, even just to an empty room, works so well. It forces your brain to really understand the material. I also broke things down into smaller chunks. No more 3-hour cram sessions. I started using short study bursts, like 25 minutes of focus, then a 5-minute break. You might have heard of the Pomodoro technique. That's the one. It kept my brain fresh and actually made studying feel less overwhelming. And here's another thing. I started using practice questions a lot. Because just knowing facts isn't enough. You've got to learn how to apply them. So I did past papers, practice quizzes, flashcards, anything that forced me to think instead of just read. That change alone took my studying from passive and forgettable to active and way more effective. And honestly, it made me feel way more in control of my learning. I fixed my environment. Another thing that helped big time? I fixed my study environment. Before, I'd study on my bed, phone next to me, music playing, tabs open, total distraction zone. So I set up a proper spot. Nothing fancy, just a clear desk, a chair, no phone in sight. I used timers to stay focused and gave myself real breaks. When your space feels right, it's so much easier to focus. I stopped chasing motivation. This one's important. I stopped waiting for motivation to magically show up. There were days I didn't feel like studying at all, but I studied anyway, just for 10 minutes to start. Most times, once I got going, I kept going. I learned that discipline beats motivation almost every time. You don't have to feel in the mood, you just need to start, even a little. I took care of myself. One thing people forget? You can't perform your best if you feel like trash. So I started sleeping better. I drank more water, ate real food instead of just snacks and sugar. I even exercised a few times a week, just walks or quick workouts. It made a huge difference in my energy and focus. I believed I could improve. Last part, and maybe the most important, I stopped telling myself, I'm just not good at this. Instead, I told myself, okay, I don't get it yet, but I can learn it. That mindset shift, it changed everything. Because once you believe you can improve, you start acting differently. You keep trying. You don't give up after one bad grade. It wasn't about being the smartest. It was about being consistent, curious, willing to fail and learn. So yeah, I didn't turn things around overnight. It took time and patience and a lot of trial and error. But if I can go from failing to top 1%, I know you can level up too. You've got this, for real. And hey, if this video helped even a little, feel free to like, subscribe, or share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thanks for watching, and I'm rooting for you. See you in the next one.